Today, I want to share how you can be optimistic at work so you can get the energy boost you need to bounce back and overcome any challenge you face at work. Hi, and welcome back to another segment of Triple T where I reveal my top tips and tricks to help you excel at work and reach your highest potential. I'm Allie, and today I'm going to share with you my top tips on how to be optimistic when you're struggling with your work. Is this something you can relate to? Have you ever felt bogged down at work? If so, what have you done to push through it? I'm curious to know, so make sure you leave a comment down below. Otherwise, sit back, relax, and grab a drink, and we'll get started. At some point, you're bound to come across some difficulties in your career. Whether it's trying to change jobs or get along with your boss, you're going to face adversity at some point. It's inevitable. What's going to determine how you cope with and ultimately approach these situations is your mindset and view of these situations. People who are more pessimistic, for example, they start to blame themselves for their situation and assume a worse. They view situations like these as these never-ending black holes and lose all hope that their situation can change. And that's not what you want. What you want is to feel powerful, as if you can overcome any challenge. That this one bad incident is temporary and not some pending doom and gloom that's lingering around the corner. And the secret to getting these things is being optimistic. Optimistic people are not only better at handling stressful situations, but they're better at controlling their emotions, being happier at work, and earning a higher income. And despite what you might think, optimism isn't some inherited trait that can't be changed once you're born. You can actually learn how to be more optimistic. And to help you do that, I'm going to reveal my go-to tips for being optimistic. These are tips that I've personally used, and I know they're going to work for you as well. So if you're ready to stop feeling defeated and start conquering any challenge you face at work, then here's my top tips for being optimistic at work. Tip 1, put things into perspective. Optimistic people recognize that the difficult situations they come across are temporary in nature. So it's much easier for them to see that there's hope in their situation. That's why if you want to be more optimistic, then you need to take a step back and put your situation into perspective. So when things get tough, I want you to imagine your life as a whole. In the grand scheme of things, does this situation even matter? Will it affect you 1, 5, or 10 years later? Will you honestly remember that this even occurred? Another thing you can do is play the situation in your mind from a third-person perspective. How does the situation look to a bystander walking by? Would they see and react the same way to the situation as you do? What these exercises do is allow you to take a step back and see the situation more objectively. More often than not, you'll find that these situations are brief moments of your life that have little to no consequence to you long term. So if you want to be more optimistic, then you need to get in the habit of putting things into perspective. Tip number 2, acknowledge that disappointment happens. One of the biggest misunderstandings I come across is that optimism is about being in your own fantasy land, surrounded by rainbows and butterflies 24/7. And this might actually be the reason why you've avoided being optimistic for so long. It's unrealistic and can quite frankly be just as detrimental as being overly negative all the time. But in actuality, you need to be realistic in order to be optimistic. And a part of that means accepting that disappointment happens. You see, when you acknowledge you're going to be disappointed at some point, you're allowing yourself to mentally prep for any situation to occur. So that when something bad does happen, you're not sitting around moping the entire day. Instead, you're rolling up your sleeves and taking action to resolve the issue. And it's because you work through these awful moments quickly that you're able to see that these events are temporary, which makes it a lot easier to be optimistic when these events occur. So if you want to be more optimistic, then you need to be realistic with your expectations and acknowledge that disappointment happens. Tip number 3, appreciate what you have. I know some people are on the fence about mindfulness practices, but hear me out. There's a reason why I'm recommending this. In fact, there's a reason why several industry experts recommend you do this. Because it works. This is especially the case when we're talking about being more optimistic. You see, studies have found that people who express gratitude and appreciation on a regular basis are more optimistic and tend to be physically and mentally healthier as a result. So if this is something you're open to, then grab your phone or a journal and make it a daily habit to jot down 3 things that you appreciate in your life at that moment. These can be anything from large achievements in your life to things you experience on a daily basis. It can be anything you want, as long as it positively impacted you. Do this, and do it on a frequent basis, and you'll have a much easier time being optimistic when you're having a hard time at work. Tip number 4, flood the negative. When we're talking about being more optimistic, then you need to be more conscious of how you view and respond to negative events. People tend to react more strongly to negative moments than positive. So to combat the negativity, you need to not only catch yourself responding negatively to the event, but make an effort to minimize the negative impact of the event. And one way you can do that is by flooding the negative event with several positive events. So every time you experience one negative event at work, I want you to sit down and think of 3 or more positive experiences you've had. The goal is to flood your mind with positive thoughts, so when something unpleasant happens, it doesn't seem nearly as bad. This is a great way to get you in the habit of thinking more positively and becoming more aware of the good things that occur around you. Tip number 5, play devil's advocate. You might have noticed that whenever a negative event occurs that you get this annoying little voice in the back of your head that starts making negative comments about the situation. You know, that voice in your head that tells you that you never do anything right, or that you're stupid for always getting into these situations. Well, you want to be more optimistic? Then you need to fight that voice in your head by playing devil's advocate. Whenever you feel it pop in, be ready to destroy any argument it presents. For example, if it says you never do anything right, then be ready to explain why that isn't true by giving examples of moments when you do something right. If it starts criticizing you for why something occurred, then you need to explain how there are several factors at play that could have caused the event. I know, it sounds silly because you're having a conversation with yourself, but after you get used to it, you'll see how much of a positive impact it can have on you. You'll no longer be affected by those negative thoughts in your head when something bad occurs, and be more optimistic as a result. Tip number 6, interact with positive people. You've probably noticed at this point that the name of the game for being more optimistic is to do whatever you can to minimize the amount of negativity you experience on a day-to-day basis. So, in addition to being cautious about your thoughts and the events around you, you also need to be aware of the people you interact with at work. You see, emotions are infectious. So if you're constantly around people who complain or express negative emotions, then chances are you're going to start complaining too and reciprocating the emotions they have. So surround yourself with people who are happy and positive. Take a lunch or coffee break with them. If there's a company get-together, make it a priority to talk to them first. Really take any opportunity you can to interact with these type of people. By doing this, you'll not only find that you're more positive on a regular basis, but you're developing strong relationships with like-minded people. Now, before we move on to the next tip, I do want to mention that when it comes to work, realistically, you can't just wake up one day and decide you're not going to associate with pessimistic colleagues or customers. So in these cases, just try to minimize the number of interactions you have with these individuals and keep your conversations focused on the task at hand. Don't let them get sidetracked on negative topics. Don't let them gossip. Keep it focused on work. If you still can't avoid it, then make sure to schedule some time throughout the day to recharge by taking a walk or just getting a breath of fresh air. Tip number 7, set realistic goals. And last but not least, if you want to be more optimistic, then you need to be realistic with the goals you set. One of the reasons why you might be on the more pessimistic side of the spectrum is because you don't see any change in your current situation. You're unable to achieve the goals you set out to accomplish, and understandably, it can be frustrating. So what I want you to do is write down the goals you haven't accomplished and ask yourself, how difficult is it to accomplish these goals? How much time will it realistically take to achieve these goals? Is it 2 months, a year, 5 years? What is it? Larger goals are more difficult to accomplish. And as you can imagine, if these are the only goals you set, then you're setting yourself up for pessimism and negativity. So instead, you need to set small goals for each large goal you have. Break it down so you can gradually make progress. Do this, and not only will you start to see yourself making more progress, but you're putting yourself in a position to be more optimistic about the future and the current situation you're in. And there you have it, my top tips on how to be optimistic at work. Use these tips and you'll start to see things from a more positive perspective. And as a result, will feel less stressed about your work and be more resilient when things don't go as expected. Now, if one of the reasons why you struggle being optimistic at work is because you're unhappy with your job or you feel your job is meaningless, then I highly suggest you watch this video here where I reveal my top tips on how to find meaning in your job. It's great for helping you discover your purpose in your career and may make it easier for you to see the world from a positive lens. And before you leave, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. It helps me get my videos out there and lets you know when I release new content. Otherwise, it's been fun having you today. Until I drink again, take it easy. Bye. Can you see all the chocolate chips in that? It's amazing, isn't it? That was just really good. It's very similar to a, what's it called? A chocolate croissant? Yeah, like a chocolate croissant. Those are so good.